This video will explain the control and regulation of male reproductive hormones. So let's start with where we start with pretty much all hormones, and that is with the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, around about puberty, is going to trigger the production of male reproductive hormones. So the first thing that happens is the hypothalamus will begin secreting a hormone that is called GnRH. Now, GnRH stands for gonadotropin releasing hormone. Now, the term gonadotropin, well, gonads, those would be the testes and the ovaries. In this case, we're talking about the testes. But this isn't a hormone that's going to go to the testes. This is a hormone that's going to cause the release of tropic hormones. Now, a tropic hormone, or a tropin, is a hormone that will seek out. So in this case, it's going to seek out the gonads. So GnRH will cause the target of GnRH, which will be the anterior pituitary, to release a tropic hormone that will seek out the gonads. And the tropic hormones that seek out the gonads in males, well, we'll get to those in just a moment. So, gonadotropin releasing hormone is not a gonadotropic hormone. It causes the release of gonadotropic hormones. So the target of GnRH is going to be the anterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary is going to respond by making two gonadotropic hormones. The two gonadotropic hormones, the hormones that will seek out the gonads, are called FSH, or follicle-stimulating hormone, which has a terrible name because male doesn't have a follicle to stimulate. But it's named after its role in females. It's chemically identical in males, so rather than give it a new name, we'll just call it FSH. Same thing with LH. Stands for luteinizing hormone. Its target in females is the corpus luteum, therefore the name. In males, its target isn't, well, males don't have a corpus luteum, so the name is kind of irrelevant here. All right, so FSH and LH are going to seek out the male gonad. The male gonad is obviously the testes. But there are two parts of the testes. So we're going to divide the testes into two parts. There's the part that makes hormones and the part that makes sperm. The part that makes sperm, called the seminiferous tubules. And the part that makes hormones are the cells in between seminiferous tubules, called interstitial cells. Literally, the word interstitial means between tissues. They're in between the seminiferous tubules. So let's start out with what the seminiferous tubules are going to do in response to FSH. Well, first thing they're going to do in response to FSH is it's going to stimulate spermatogenesis, the production of sperm. Also, the seminiferous tubules are going to make a hormone called inhibin. And the purpose of inhibin is to act as negative feedback on the anterior pituitary. And the term inhibin, the word inhibin, tells us it must inhibit something. Well, it inhibits the production of more FSH by the anterior pituitary. So we'll just put a little negative sign indicating negative feedback. So just to make sure there's not too much FSH. The hormone LH, on the other hand, causes secretion of the hormone testosterone. And testosterone has a couple of effects. First of all, it acts as negative feedback as well. It will have a negative effect on the hypothalamus and on the pituitary. But testosterone is also responsible for male secondary sexual characteristics. That's why it's being produced. It helps develop muscles. It helps to increase the size of the larynx, hair growth, various factors that are involved in male secondary sex characteristics. but it's also involved in primary sex characteristics, meaning it also helps in the production of sperm. And that's because testosterone will also feed back upon the seminiferous tubules and enhance the ability of the seminiferous tubules to make sperm. So sperm are produced from a combination of follicle stimulating hormone and testosterone, and can't produce sperm without both of those hormones interacting. This negative feedback loop ensures that there's always a certain level of FSH, LH, and testosterone, but the negative feedback ensures that there is never too much. All right, so let's take look at a couple of exam questions. So here we have a relatively easy exam question. It has regulation of male reproductive hormones. We've got gland 1, hormone X, gland 2, and hormone Y. Hormone Y is targeting the testes, so that would tell me that hormone Y must be a gonadotropic hormone. Not gonadotropic releasing hormone, but it is itself a gonadotropic hormone. So let's take a look at what these glands must be. Gland number 1 is going to be the hypothalamus, because it's going to start the whole process of male reproductive hormone production, which would make hormone X the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which would make gland 2 the target of that, which would be the anterior pituitary. Which would make hormone Y either FSH or LH. In this diagram, we don't have enough information to tell which is which. So let's take a look at the answers we have here. So we're going to pick an answer that has gland 1 being the hypothalamus. We want gland 2 to be the pituitary gland. So hormone X is GnRH, hormone Y, LH, or FSH. Well, in this case, because we have the production of testosterone, we actually can, I think I misspoke earlier, we can tell if it's FSH or LH, because LH is the hormone that directly triggers testosterone production, and therefore we can pick LH here, and we pick answer B. So fairly straightforward question there. Just have to recognize the production of testosterone here is the key to the question. All right, let's take a look at another one. This one's a little bit more involved. Let's just clean up the screen here. All right, so this one says polybrominated diphenyl ethers. Boy, I don't like when we use big words like that, because that word has nothing really to do with the question. At least we've got an abbreviation. Let's just use the abbreviation. PBDEs. PBDEs, yes, are chemicals that are used to fireproof consumer products such as furniture and computer casings. PBDEs interfere with an enzyme that is necessary for the production of sperm. In other words, production of sperm is going to be interfered with. It's not going to happen. Sorry, production of testosterone is going to be interfered with. It's not going to happen. So the hormone that is expected to be found in greater than normal amounts. So which hormone are we going to get more of than normal when a man has been exposed to PBDEs? So we go back and look at our feedback loop. And why don't we do that? Why don't we scroll all the way back to that feedback loop? And remember, we're getting a lower than normal production of testosterone here. So if we scroll all the way back to our feedback loop, let's get rid of this. Let's just delete that entirely. All right. So what we can see here is lower than normal testosterone. Testosterone is going to be lower. Well, if testosterone is lower, then there's going to be an absence of negative feedback. And in an absence of negative feedback, GnRH is going to increase. And if GnRH increases, so will LH increase, and so will FSH increase. So we'd expect to find increased levels of all three of those hormones if testosterone levels were low. So let's go down and look at our answers here. Which answers do we have the choice of? Well, we've got a choice of FSH or LH for this one. We know it's not HGH, that's growth hormone. We know it's not ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. These don't have anything to do with male reproductive hormones. So we have to choose between LH and FSH. So is there any way we can make that choice? Well, the most direct negative feedback effect of testosterone is going to have on LH. Okay, GnRH isn't one of our choices, so we can't pick that. FSH is acted upon by inhibin for negative feedback. So based on the answers we have here, it would be logical to pick the answer of LH. So going back down to our question, we would pick answer A for this question.